They have a successful water park that profits over $100,000 on operational cost after all operating expenses are paid. There's a picture of what Fayette looks like. The next city is Hartsville, South Carolina. Population of 7,600. They also have a successful water park that profits over $200,000 on operational cost after all operating expenses are paid. There's their picture. You'll see it on the board too here. The next city, Coleman, Alabama. Population, 15,385. They also have a successful water park that profits over $400,000 on operational costs after all operating expenses are paid. There's a little small picture of their water park. And lastly, with a population of almost 26,000 people, the city of Northport, well, we have a dog. And let me be clear that in no way am I taking a shot at Kentuck. In no way. I'm merely addressing that our only draw to Northport when people look us up is our art community, which I am all for. But we can be so much more. The two boards we have here below, one is a rendering of the water park in Hartsville, South Carolina, and the other board is the items that we would want to incorporate into a Northport water park. As a father of 4 children, I understand the importance of family entertainment and also the practicality of well. The amenities shown are the ones that you will get the most enjoyment and bang for your buck. Those are splash slides. The Northport Water Park would include 4 slides as shown, 2 with curvature and 2 with a fast drop. This feature will appeal to kids, teenagers, and adults alike. Splash pad. The Northport Water Park would have an area for little kids with various water spraying mechanisms and also a kid-friendly slide so they too could feel like their older siblings or just like a big boy or a big girl. Tumble bucket. Northport Water Park would have a large bucket that continuously fills up with water and it drops down with a huge splash onto the people around it. This item is a big hit for all ages in the anticipation of its dropping. Lazy river, because what parent in here would not love this feature? In putting this idea together, I know that this is an area that has to be long, it has to be wide, and it has to have a good water current to accommodate maximum enjoyment. Also, the Northport Water Park would have a waterfall within the lazy river for an extra splash of enjoyment. Cannons. Picture doesn't really do this justice, but these would be overlooking the lazy river. So what child doesn't want to stand on the ledge and fire a water-filled cannon at their parents in the lazy river as they floated by? The next is cabanas. The Northport Water Park would have an abundance of cabanas for rent. These areas would be safe havens for families to spend the entire day having fun, but also while giving them a place to rest and have some shade. Pavilions. Because where else can you take your child to have an outdoor party that is fun? These pavilions would be for rent and would come in different sizes throughout the park. And lastly, this is thinking outside the box. An indoor splash pad and party rooms. This was an idea on how to make the water park open year-round. The concept would be to have a building that has large roll-up type doors that stay open during the summer, but give some shade as children play inside on different water features that is suitable for all ages due to having the splash pad flooring. This building would also have party rooms inside for rent in case someone didn't want to have their party outside under the pavilions. In the wintertime, the doors would be rolled down and your children would still have something fun to do. Where else in Alabama can you have a water-themed birthday party in the winter? Does all of that sound like something that you would support so far? Most of you are probably sitting there thinking, absolutely, but it has to be affordable for families, and I totally agree. Rough numbers to make this park work. On admission, 2 and under free. Children up to 48 inches tall, $12. Adults and children over 48 inches tall, $15. Season pass, $79, ages 3 and over. And for our early bird season pass special for pre-sale, $69. Is that affordable? Where else can you spend $69 per person for 12 months of family entertainment? But now the big question. Can the city afford it? Yes. Did we raise your taxes last fall? Did we say that we would provide more activity, outdoor activity for families? So what's the cost? Cost estimate here with a lazy river, splash pad with play structure and tumble bucket, splash slides, bathhouse, concessions, indoor splash pad, party rooms, pavilions, cabanas, parking lots, landscaping, equipment and supplies, just a little over $7 million. Now, in the grand scheme of things, this looks like a lot of money. But do you remember when I said the additional 1 cent sales tax that was passed last fall had a category for enjoyment that will have an estimated $1.25 million per year set aside for outdoor activity? Simple math shows that this water park, based on the estimated $7 million cost, could be paid within 5.5 years without affecting the general fund or the other 3 categories of the additional 1 cent sales tax that was passed last fall. The pros to this is that you pay cash without affecting the general fund. The cons, you tie up the enjoyment category for 5.5 years with no other projects. Citizens have to wait 5.5 years for us to save the money. The citizens have to wait another 2 years for the project to be built. So that's 7.5 total years from now before it's open. Cost of construction will rise. Economy factors may not be as stable as now. And there could be 2 election cycles between now and then, which could bring in different views of elected officials and kill the project. There are numerous ways to skin this cat, though. You do remember me saying that our financial auditors have stated that our revenue is up and expenses are down, and that we have incurred no new debt since being in office, right? By a show of hands, who in here remembers buying their first house? By a show of hands, who in here paid cash for their first house? By a show of hands, who in here has a mortgage on their home? My point is, on large ticket items like your house, or for the city, like this, with the water park, it's okay to take out a loan if you can afford it. There's a huge difference between good debt and bad debt. The current state of the economy is one of the best it has been in quite some time. Interest rates are low, and it's a great time to do large projects such as this. Let's look at simple math without interest. Say we took out a 20-year bond for $7 million. The payment would be $350,000 a year. If you were to take that payment out of the $1.25 million enjoyment category each year, and that would leave $900,000 a year remaining in that category for other projects. The pros to doing it this way: the water park is now on a fast track and could be open for summer 2022. You take advantage of a great economy. You take advantage of low interest rates. You create jobs for local contractors, create jobs for staff at the water park. And you provide the first family entertainment destination ever in the city of Northport. So what's the cons to doing it this way? We took out a bond. But as you can see, we are more than capable of paying this bond without hindering any other city services for our residents. If you wanted to get technical, there's an additional category in the 1-cent sales tax that was passed last fall, and it's called responsible. In this category, it too will have an estimated $1.25 million a year. This category will be used for a variety of items, including debt service, which could accelerate repayment as well. Basically, what I'm saying is, when it comes down to it, providing this type of family entertainment service to our residents is a priority or not, seeing there are numerous ways to fund this project without hindering anything in our general fund or hindering any city services. If anyone says that the city cannot afford this after the presentation, it does not mean that the city lacks money. What it says to me is that the city lacks vision going forward. Each year we hear from numerous people saying that we need to do more funding with para. I don't disagree. With this water park, we can kill two birds with one stone and strengthen our relationship with para. Para would supply all staff, including lifeguards. Under state of Alabama law, park and recreation organizations have more immunity from the state for liability than municipalities. By transferring the risk to para for liability and insurance, the city of Northport has addressed all concerns regarding potential injuries or possible drownings. I have tried to address all of the concerns that anyone could have. There are a few others, as this is the beginning stage of just an idea. The other items that will need to be addressed if we proceed are maintenance cost. By looking at other cities, we have a very good idea of the cost to maintain, and we have budgeted our admission prices to reflect that. However, since this is just an idea and no formal plan has been presented, those will be addressed at a later date, along with how ticket sales and distribution of profits will be allocated and used. The next is land. And where will this be? Due to confidentiality, I can only say that there are 4 to 5 places I have personally looked at for this project. In my personal opinion, this project needs to be as close to the city center as it can be, preferably between Highway 69 and Highway 43 North. However, I'm not ruling out other areas such as Rose Boulevard. It needs to be seen from the road and attract cars or families that are passing through. If you've ever traveled to Birmingham and you have gone on 2059, you see a sign for Splash Adventure. You just see a sign. But if you go to Atlanta and you're on I-20 and you're heading into downtown Atlanta, your kids look over and they can see Six Flags, and it has that wow factor because they can see it from the road. It would be great if we had enough land to expand this idea not only to a water park, but to a new sports complex for baseball, girls softball, and maybe even eventually soccer. It's no secret that restaurants and hotels follow these type of complexes. We have the potential to make this happen. As stated earlier, other cities have done it and have been successful. The three I mentioned were much smaller than Northport and have found a way to provide for their citizens. With that being said, I want to read the following letter from the City of Coleman City Administrator, or they call it City Clerk. President Pro Tem, Mr. Jeff Hogg. I serve as the Coleman City Clerk and have worked for the City of Coleman for the last 14 years. I actually worked on the bond issue that funded the Coleman Wellness and Aquatic Center. Since the opening of the Coleman Wellness and Aquatic Center, the citizens of Coleman have really enjoyed this facility. We have been surprised by the profitability of the wild water portion of the Coleman Wellness and Aquatic Center. The water park is by far the most profitable portion of our Wellness and Aquatic Center, with a large number of day passes each summer at $10 per person. It actually covers its salaries and all of its expenses. The gym, fitness area, which we are not incorporating with this, was also profitable until Planet Fitness opened in Coleman. If I were y'all, I would not get into the fitness business because of the competition from private gyms. We are actually looking to expand our water park over the next 2 years because of how successful it has been. If you have any other questions, please let me know. Sincerely, Wesley Moore, Coleman City Clerk. As you can tell, water parks can be a great asset for your city. All cities are different, though. There's some that want to make money on its operation. Others just want to cover their expenses and provide an affordable service for its residents. We have the opportunity to choose what our city is known for. The time is now. Our families deserve better. I appreciate everyone coming and listening to my idea tonight. I take pride on being the voice for not only the residents of District 5, but for everyone here that has children and that are starving for family entertainment in Northport. After listening to this presentation, by a show of hands, how many are still for proceeding further with this idea? And as always, I'd love to hear from each of you on your thoughts. President Logan.
Thank you, Councilman. A lot of information to take in. Appreciate all the hard work you've done in trying to answer a lot of the first blush type questions that the citizens may have, and mayor and council. Again, I'm looking at the sign-in sheet, folks. So again, point of housekeeping, if you keep it to a minute or two, that way we can kind of at least move as quick as we can. I know we've got a lot of things on the agenda related to or non-related. So again, I'll start right into it. So I'll go through, and I got the first citizen, Frank Chandler. Mr. Chandler, if you would, please state your name and address for the record. And again, if you would come on up to the podium, and we appreciate you coming.
Frank Chandler. I live at 4902 Emerald Bay Drive in the Northwood Lake subdivision. I think this should be put on a back burner at this time. Mr. Jeff Hogg has done a good job in trying to check everything out, but things come up. And the thing that's coming up is the coronavirus. And by the time this thing is built, the coronavirus is liable to be in our area. And I can't think of anything that you could do that would spread the coronavirus worse than having a water park. And if it ends up killing some children or some older people that are been touched with their children that have gone to this park and have got the coronavirus, I don't know, it'll be on your heads. But at this time, this is something that's new and it's come up, and he hadn't addressed the coronavirus, and it is gonna get to our neighborhood and our city at some point. And we should put it on a back burner and say, hey, let's wait and let's see how things turn out.
I want to take my chances.
Thank you, Mr. Chandler. Again, I just want to make for the record, you're saying coronavirus will cause us not to do this.
I'm not saying that it will force it. It might be that you open up the park and you won't get anybody to show up
Yes,
if it
sir.
starts spreading in the thing. And I can't think of a way you'd want to spread the coronavirus more effectively in our community than to have people go to the water park that are infected, and then they get in, and the water can help transmit this virus, I believe.
Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chandler.
Okay, thank you.
Next citizen signed to speak is Mr. Bobby Herndon.
Madam Mayor, City Council, Judge, thank you for this opportunity to let me speak. First of all, let me commend Councilman Hogg on his presentation on the research that he's done. I'm all for it if it's doable. You know, Northport is hungry, as Jeff said, starving for entertainment. We need anything that we can get. And I just want to ask you, if you will, just to please consider this. Do your research, do your homework, do whatever you need to do, but don't just immediately brush it under the table. I mean, Councilman Hogg's made a good presentation. He's got numbers out there. He's got letters from different cities. And I just appreciate you guys putting in the same amount of effort to consider this as he's put in as far as researching it, because I believe it'd be great for the community. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Our next citizen signed to speak in this particular, for this issue is Ms. Tamaria Madison. Hey, Ms. Madison.
Hey,
Please state your name and address for the record.
your neighbor here.
Yeah, I see. Hello, neighbor, in my Fred Rogers voice.
I'm Tamaria Madison, 4412 Northwood Lake Drive West. I've been missing a few meetings because I've been traveling up to the Hoover Metro Complex for the AAU volleyball. Good presentation, good information, but along with the aesthetics, I would like to see us take some of that money, get a library. Why do we always have to go across the bridge to the library? Saban just donated $1.25 million. They're taking the Tuscaloosa News and they're gonna make it for STEM. It's gonna have a library and it's gonna have the Children's Hands-On Museum. Why can't we do something like that over here in Northport? The water park is nice, but by the time it's built, my 13-year-old will be 20 years old. So can we not get some things that would be more beneficial year-round, like a metro complex? The one in Hoover has baseball, batting cage, soccer fields, splash water park. They have an indoor rock climbing. They have a physical therapy on site. The inside gym, they can divide it for basketball and volleyball. That's more than just a water park, and it could be year-round. We've had to travel to Montgomery. We have to pay for parking, plus pay for the volleyball games. That's revenue. We can do something like that in Northport instead of limiting ourselves to just a water park. So I would like for us to take that 1-cent tax and try to do something for educating our children. You talk about the aesthetic. Look at some of our schools. The outside of some of our schools. Let's take some of that money and do something with those buildings where these kids are learning.
All right. Make sure I got it right so I can get it in my record. You want to add some more value to the actual idea, not just the water park, but maybe a huge sports complex just
I
because.
want to add something to the value of our children.
Right.
Not just a water park. Let's get a library over here. Let's get something for the STEM. These kids, by the time this water park is built, most of them are going to be the ones that's going to be applying for the jobs. I volunteered to be a part of that community. Can you tell me who's on that board? How's the diversity? Do we have African Americans on that board, or Mexican or whatever, or is just your friends that you put on the board that's gonna agree with everything you wanna do? Cause I volunteered to be, this a nice out, you know, this a nice, people came out this Monday about the water park, but what about the other first and third Mondays? We never have crowds like this when we're just talking about general business for the city of Northport. So let's do something for the children as far as their education about doing something so we don't have to go across the bridge to Tuscaloosa just so they can, you know, get a book.
Ms. Madison, I want to address some things that you were talking about in regards to library, STEM, or doing anything with the school system. We do not have a city school system. It is a county school board. We also, this water park was being discussed out of enjoyment category. Enjoyment category.
Didn't our police
Let me
department
finish,
just make a
please.
donation to Steelman of some cars? So what? We don't have the school board. Why not donate something to the
This
children?
presentation was about the category enjoyment. And if
Okay,
you,
my enjoyment would be a sports complex.
And-
We have
and
these
I believe I
kids that
mentioned-
can.
I believe
No,
I
no, no,
mentioned
no.
that.
The main thing is this water park.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's do something where it's for baseball, basketball, volleyball, all of that year round.
and I believe when you're talking about the Hoover, I mean, I think it was close to $100 million to do what they did. So
But even what they're doing, if you live in Hoover, you don't even have to pay to use the facilities. This is gonna take 7 years, and all it's gonna be is a water park.
it's not going to take 7 years. If you
That's
listen to
if they agree with your bond.
if you listen to the presentation, you can
I
do this
did listen
within.
to the presentation,
within 2
Jeff,
years.
and you're limiting
All
us to
right,
just a water
there's
park.
there's my part right there. I'm gonna cut in because we got the lights cut off. We did pay the light bill. Hey, Miss Madison, real quick, the sports complex you're referencing, I'm gonna put that in the official record, so I appreciate it, and then the
Put
educational
something about the
standpoint.
libraries.
Yes, ma'am, I will. I've got the educational component as well. Thank you, Ms. Madison, I've got it. Next citizen signed to speak. Again, this is April Zark.